Hello, this is Talk TKD. It's not an official episode. This is just like a random one. I get asked a few sort of questions here and there, and I just thought I'd do a monologue about, just a quick update about my fight coming up, and I had a few questions, etc., that I want to answer for some people. Um, yeah. Most of you probably know I'm fighting a week today. A week today, I'll be in Bristol fighting for the WFA English kickboxing belt. Obviously, I've had a few hard weeks training up to that, as normal, as normal protocol. But it's good though. Like the thing I like about doing the kickboxing is that there are different elements to it. I need to work on my boxing. Been working. I mean, to be fair, the last few weeks all I've pretty much been doing is boxing, and trying to sort of put them together with my kicking combinations that I get from Taekwondo. Um, I think doing that is a massive advantage, not just as a martial artist as a whole, but I feel whether it's correct or not. I feel that when I go into Taekwondo match, that I don't, I'd like to think that they won't be able to outbox me. I mean, they might be able to close the range better with punches for their speed, but if we sort of went toe to toe, my boxing ability and the head movement and hooks and stuff like that will overcome that person. Obviously, different Taekwondo associations have different rules on hooks, and sometimes they're not clear, and sometimes it's just on the referee, etc. So you need to be careful when you're going into competitions as to I've been disqualified a few times doing like clinch stuff that I've got from Thai and different sort of boxing combinations that certain referees didn't like. So you need to be careful, but I think as not just from a competition point of view, just as a martial artist, I find I find it a little bit embarrassing actually when you go to a taekwondo club and people they can't do a decent jab cross. I think if you're a martial artist if you're a black belt in any martial art, whether it's taekwondo, whether it's stand up, striking, etc., I think you should be able to throw a decent jab cross. It's basic self defense. It's your 90% of the time, if you're in a self-defense situation, then if you've got a decent jab cross, that will sort you out. I worked the doors for 3-4 years as a bouncer, and very few times did apart from like locks or holds, etc. If they're stood in front of me and it's about to kick off, then I'm going jab or a cross or a jab cross. So I think that it's important as a whole, and obviously some taekwondo clubs will teach that well, and I've always said that my students will not just be able to perform their patterns well, but they'll be able to defend themselves. They will know how to fight. And you need to be able to throw a decent jab cross for that, which kickboxing has really helped me along with. Likewise, when I go into a kickboxing fight, I normally feel confident that I will outkick the person. So hopefully those are my sort of advantages in sort of whatever rules that I'm doing. Also, it helps getting taekwondo out there and showing that it's not all just kicks, like some people think from the Olympics. We can punch, we do punch, and we do punch well, and we punch fast, and we can punch hard as well if needed to. But anyway, Saturday, 18th of July. If anyone's still interested in coming, there's still a few tickets left. Hit me up on the Facebook, or give me a call, or whatever. Obviously, leading up to it, up to fights, I try and make sure I eat clean, drink plenty of water. Particularly this weather, when it's the summer, it's so easy to get lost with a dehydration. I mean, I don't have one, but if you have like an office job or something like that, and you sit there all day just drinking coffee or whatever, and then you come to train, you're gonna suffer. or maybe not just not suffer, but you won't perform as well. I can't remember what the exact statistics are, but there is good science that you're dehydrated, then your performance will suffer massively. Which is why you need to be. It's important when it comes to weight cuts and stuff like that. You've got enough time to get that water back on. And in fact, they reckon that nearly all the deaths in the ring, not in Taekwondo, but in the ring in general, are pretty much all to do with having sort of lack of fluids on the brain, cushioning the brain, and then that's when people die and get brain damage. It's when they're dehydrated. Fine, so you've got to drink the water during the summer. I also drink a smoothie every day, sometimes twice a day. It's really good. Like, it's clean. It keeps your bowel movements clean. Like, I know some people going, but it's important, man. It's important. Like, and yeah, like, you might think, oh, it's a little bit too much information, but like, I'm a 3-4 time a day guy to the toilet, sitting down. And you might think, well, why did you just tell me that? But it is important that you're going regularly, and this stuff keeps running. So I'm going to run you through quickly. If you're just listening to the audio podcast, maybe check out the YouTube video that goes with this. You can see what I'm doing. I've already made up a lot of the fresh pot. I make a big one in the morning, and then I have that in the morning with my breakfast. Sometimes I just have this, and then I have one. I'm a care worker, so I during the day, part time, I go around to different people's houses and help them out with whatever he's doing, and then in between those trips, when I'm driving around, I just sip on my shake, which involves broccoli. I get sort of 2 or 3 sort of cloves of broccoli, that's what they're called. Chop them up, whack them in. Kale is not particularly nice, really. I wouldn't eat it if I wasn't, putting it in my smoothie. But it's so good for you. It's got a lot of anti-cancer properties. It's like, Google it. Kale's really, really good for you. I put a stick of celery, wash that up, and chop it up, whack it in there. Like for the green sort of side of things, that's pretty much it. Broccoli, kale, celery. Sometimes you can add like cucumber and stuff like that. But that's not my cup of tea. Fruit-wise, I chop up some pineapple. I buy a pineapple each week, chop it up, put it in there, keep it in the fridge, and I just whack them in. And I chop up sometimes a pear, sometimes an apple and a pear. It's Saturday, I've got a bit more time to myself. Got a demonstration later and I'm working in the evening, but I've got the morning to myself, so a bit more time. So I'll chop up both. Whack them all in, put them in. You can get like posh movie makers, really expensive. You can just get a blender, as long as you're prepared to sort of chop it up a little bit more. Just whack it in the blender. I also put some milled linseed in there. It's good for you. It's got protein and some carbs that aren't made of sugars, etc. Really good. Also put some soy, some protein in it as well. This says whey protein, but it's actually got soy protein in it. I get most of my supplements from discountsupplements.co.uk. They're really good. Free delivery, and they do some awesome deals. In fact, I still need to put some of that powder in my shake, so I'll do that. Also, I've made up a bit of the rest of it earlier to save you, watching me chop vegetables. I'm sure that's not what you went on to talk to TKD for. Not sure this at all is what you went on to talk to TKD for, but hey, it's a bonus extra. Just be happy. We'll work that on. As you can hear, it makes quite a noise. But it's worth it, because I now have a big glass of green goodness. It's got protein, it's got fibre, it's got some carbs. I put some water in it as well to keep it, otherwise it's a little bit too thick. I'm not going to lie to you, it's not the nicest tasting drink in the world, but damn, it works. It works. So, try it. Just give it a go. People ask me as well about supplements that I take. So I thought I'd go through that. I take, the bottle's called Testo XL, but horny goat's weed is a good, it's supposed to sort of help maintain your testosterone levels. But it's natural. It's not steroids, basically. Obviously, the effect is minimal, but all the effects that we're going for are minimal when we're training. The gap between you going out first round or meddling is a split second in between kicks and punches. So we're looking for those minute advantages, of which hopefully that will give me some. BCAAs help your muscle recovery and stuff like that. Those are big pot of pills, which are quite hard to swallow. I never used to be good at swallowing stuff. You can ask my mum; she used to have nightmares when we taking just paracetamol, but I've got quite used to it from this. Cod liver oil, obviously, keep the joints supple. Injury prevention. As I've got older, I've realised how important it is. This stuff's good. Holland and Barrett, vitamins A and D, and glucosamine, which we all know how good that is for you. I take some B-complex pills with B12 for energy. Makes your urine bright orange, so don't panic. Obviously, as most of you know, the colour of your urine will decipher about your how hydrated you are. If you're concentrate on that and keeping hydrated, but then take a B complex, then don't panic. It's that's doing it. It's not that you need to drink more water. Echinacea. I get ill quite a bit. I ruptured my spleen in 2006. I don't know whether it was related or not, but I seem to get sort of quite working with kids and stuff like that. Always high fiving them and touching them and stuff like that, and then touching your face. It's easy to pick up lots of germs. So the echinacea helps keep my immune system stronger. The last two are more interesting: choline, inositol, and 5-HTP. These are actually for my brain. I am well aware of the risks and dangers of combat sports on your brain and impacts. Taekwondo's good because there's a lot less trauma to the brain. Obviously now the ITF wear helmets. There is argument as to whether the helmets actually help or not with brain trauma, but it's better safe than sorry. The 5-HTP actually helps keep you in a good mood, believe it or not. People might think, you don't want to affect things like that, but I don't understand why. The food that you put in your body will affect your mood. Your environment affects you. You're moulded by your environment, and this is one way of helping my environment stay nice and happy. And it's not antidepressants or anything like that. It's Google it. I don't know if you see on the video there, 5-HTP. It's great stuff. Choline and inositol as well. Can help with metabolism, liver function and stuff like that as well. But it helps keep the brain things firing in your brain. I take those every day, along with my shakes, etc. Help keep me healthy, and I'll keep taking them. Not when I retire from competing. It's not. I want to stay healthy and as active and do as much as possible. Throughout my, as long as I'm alive. Health maintenance is just as important to me as is being fight fit, and they're different things. I've had a couple of questions online. I put a thing about an hour ago on Facebook asking if anyone's got any questions, and I had a couple of good ones. Morgan Stevens from Cornwall is a good friend of mine. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu blue belt and Taekwondo first degree black belt as well. He's an MMA fan as well, like me. We have a lot of things in common. Great lad. Shout out to Morgan. He wrote in saying, "I am well aware what you guys do for Taekwondo, but if we strip away the medals, then what has Taekwondo done for you?" Great question. Great question. I mean, to be honest, normally I would phrase it the other way. Like, like obviously Taekwondo has done so much for me. It's like, what do you do for Taekwondo? How do you give back? So I take the style of that question as a compliment, and he thinks that I am contributing to Taekwondo and the Taekwondo community. That's awesome. That's what it's about. It really is the community and making sure everyone's happy and healthy. What has Taekwondo done for me? Everything. I wouldn't be here talking to you guys about Taekwondo, obviously, but no. Most importantly, I think just the structure of Taekwondo with the tenets. And just the people that it either attracts the style of people or the type of person that Taekwondo molds you into. I think it's just a good model to live your life by, and I think it's universal. I think if everyone did Taekwondo, the world would be a better place. Therefore, I think it's a good thing to do. It's brought me into contact with some fantastic people, so I've met, like, there's things like I've made friends all over the world. I get to travel, compete, etc. But actually, the most important people are the people that have watched me growing up since I was 7 years old. Masagel, who you've all met by now, did the interview with him. He's watched me grow up since I was a child, and has had a great influence on me, and I respect him a lot, and he's just helped me get where I am today, and I think without the kind of structure of Taekwondo, I think I would have gone down a lot different route, possibly not as good, not as healthy route as maybe I am on now. As I say, I mean, to be honest, like the medals. I mean, the medals are great. Don't get me wrong. I love fighting. I love competing for medals. But no, it's not the medals. It's the experiences, and it's the tests. It's the wanting to be the best that I can be, and excel as far as I can in whatever I'm doing, and that just happens to be Taekwondo. It's hard. I think we kind of discussed this in the past, but it's hard to separate really, like, our lives and Taekwondo, because they're so succinct. As you can all see, my first ever tattoo was Taekwondo on my arm when I was 17. Naughty, but yes, it's hard to separate. But yeah, the people, the friendships, and just the life lessons that it teaches you, and the fact that you have to reflect on your actions. It's Taekwondo asks things of you that sport doesn't, and that's just Taekwondo as a martial art, not Taekwondo as a martial arts. They ask that little bit extra of you. It's not, you can be Rafael Nadal, you can be Michael Schumacher, you can be Michael Jordan, whatever. But Taekwondo asks you to be Michael Jordan and courteous, having integrity, being honest, perseverance, being able to try. And obviously, a lot of these sports people do have those attributes, and there are some fantastic role models out there. But Taekwondo requires it of you. Sport doesn't require it. As a football team, your aim is to score more goals than the other team. That's it. That's it. It doesn't matter how you do it, as long as it's within the rules. Then you win. Whereas Taekwondo, that's not the case. You need to be a champion, but you need to be respectful. You need to be a nice person. You need to be contributing, etc. And helping build a more peaceful world, as the general has asked of all of us. Anyway, tangent. I had a great question actually from one of our former interviewees, Mr. John Venard. As a competitor, what's the difference between winning and losing a match? Fantastic question. I think for me, it's about performance. Did I perform as well as I possibly can? I think the winning and losing and the competition structure gives you a platform to test your emotional control, your emotional stability, and your self-control. As I say, if you win, all you know is what you already do works, which is great. When you lose, you have an opportunity to learn, which is even better. But obviously, along with that comes the emotional baggage, and I'd be lying if I said that when I lose, I'm not bothered. I take up my stride, etc. That would be a lie. The ITF World Championships a few months ago in Italy, I lost it. The individual sparring I lost in the second round, which was not what I was there to do. I don't feel I performed the best I can, and I was really upset. But on the mats, I lost. I bowed. I got off the mats, and then I luckily we were in a sort of stadium with lots of back corridors, so I found a back corridor where nobody was. I had a bit of private time, put my towel over my head and cried. You might think, oh, what a this, that, and the other for crying, but hey, I put lots of my time, money, effort, emotions, everything I've got goes into these competitions, and I had expectations and I didn't meet those, and that's upsetting. But I think the important bit is how you present yourself and how you control those. I was emotional. I took myself off. I did make a scene, and then I probably spent about 3/4 of an hour on my own there, just trying to calm myself down, bring things into perspective, etc. Refocus for for the rest of my team and for the rest of my events as well. And I stayed there for about 3/4 of an hour, and then went back to the stands, and everyone said, "Oh," I was like, "Oh yeah, no worries, thank you, etc." And got on with the rest of the tournament. I think the harder bit is when you lose when you think you've won. That's where I think a lot of people's downfalls come. If they're, particularly if they're winning a lot and they're expected to win, and then they get a loss, it's unexpected. A lot of people, the courtesy kind of goes out the window. I think there are ways to go about it. You can appeal. In most competitions, obviously we have the ITF Worlds. You put €50 into a appeal, and I think during that time between putting in the appeal and seeing what happens between that appeal, I think is the most testing time. You need to be respectful and courteous. If you lose your temper and strung up and down, going what is this, etc. Then it brings the martial art side of it. Is lost, and that can't happen. You need to. I'm saying all this. I'm not saying that I'm perfect at it. By the way, we all make mistakes. We all get too emotional, etc. In fact, I have a good example of this. I was 14. I just come back. I've done my first ITF World Championships 2002 Junior Worlds in Argentina. Got 2 bronze and a silver. Came back. We had a national tournament, and I'm so embarrassed. um, the event organizer, I can't remember which event it was, but brought us all up in, stopped the tournament, took everyone and said, "Oh, these are the guys that represented England, got our medals, etc." Everyone gave us a big clap. That finished, and then my category was called next, and I swanned in with my England jacket, big-headed 14-year-old, and lost in the first round to somebody that I'd never seen before. And I threw my helmet on the floor, I threw my gloves on the floor. Not that I was upset with the decision, I was more upset with myself. And walked off, got changed back into my normal clothes, and I came back, got to the door to the main room where everyone was competing, and my dad was stood by the door. He looked at me and he said, "I hope you're as embarrassed as I am." He said, "You've missed your brother competing, and you've embarrassed me and yourself." And wow, I'm starting to sweat just thinking about it, and because it was really embarrassing. I felt awful afterwards that I had such an emotional, egotistical reaction, and I vowed to myself never again, and and that has been the case thus far, and I intend to keep it going that way. So I think everyone makes mistakes, etc., but you have to learn from them, and that's something that Taekwondo has done for me. Like Morgan's question is, I've been put in those situations where I was upset and wanting to lash out emotionally, but Taekwondo's taught me to keep control of myself, and to and that resonates in life, in relationships, etc. Having that self-control when you're emotional, when you're stressed out, it's easy to lash out emotionally, but that's not the right thing to do. You need to do the most logical thing, the most emphatic thing, and the most loving thing to help you and whoever you're discussing whatever with. I think you need to have that self-control for it to be balanced and for you to have a happy life, and that's something that Taekwondo has given to me. And we're going back to Mr. Bernard's question between winning and losing a match. As I said, to be honest, winning is it's just an acknowledgement that what you have done has worked, which is really nice, and it's important because as a martial artist, you need to know what bits of your training are working, which aren't, and adapt it to make sure that you're being the best martial artist that you can be. And that's one of the best things about competition is you have this direct way of telling you, yes, you're training well or you're training badly, because you're having these regular tests against people, and whether that's the best guys in the world or the guys in your region or the few sort of clubs in your county or area. You have that access to test yourself to see if what you're doing is working, whether it's a good thing, whether it's correct, and if it's not, you have the ability to change it. Anyway, I think that's enough from me. As I say, it's just a single monologue thing for me just to say hello and talk to you and answer a couple of sort of common questions. It's a beautiful Saturday morning or afternoon. I don't even know what the time is now. Yeah, it's still morning by quite a bit. I hope you all enjoy your day. Have a fantastic weekend. If you are free next weekend, you think, it's Saturday night next week, and what can I do? Oh, I'm in the Bristol area, or I fancy going to the Bristol area. Then hit me up for tickets for my fight. Would be fantastic. But have fun doing whatever you do. Try and squeeze some taekwondo in. There's always time for taekwondo. You need to make the time, but there's always the time. Peace, taekwondo. Take it easy. I love you all. Go out, spread love, and just be nice people, please. Ciao.